Hello children, how are you all? I hope you're all fine. I am Shakti Kavita, your science teacher. I welcome you all to the science class. After a long vacation, we are going to start our class. I hope you're all being safe. Okay, now about the chapter. We're going to start the chapter. The chapter name is More About Plants. It's on page number 1. So before entering into the topic, I just want to give you some information about cells. So, do you have any idea about this cell? What do you mean by cells? C-E-L-L-S. Have you ever come across the word cell? No. Okay, then let me explain. Cell is nothing but a basic unit of life. Any organism is built by or made by cells. Cells are the basic unit of organism. So, how to find that? Can we see that? The exciting part in this class is we cannot see the cell through our naked eyes. So, we need a micrometer. Why? We need a cell. Why? It's very small. It's very tiny. Okay. So, it is measured in terms of micrometer. It is measured in terms of micrometer. So, 1 micrometer is equal to 10 to the power of minus 6 meter. 1 micrometer is equal to 10 to the power of minus 6 meter. So, imagine in 1 meter, if you are imagining 10 lakhs of cell, how small and tiny it will be. So such a tiny particle we are going to see now. Okay. So, who discovered this first? It was Robert Hooke in 1665. He observed under the compound microscope. When he viewed, he gave the information as it's a cork-like structure. Okay. And then later, Theodore Swan and Matthias Jacques Cledin in 1839 extended the same cell concept and they proposed a cell theory. He is basically a German botanist. He is a German physiologist. Both together proposed a cell theory. And about cell is a basic unit of life. So, what does this cell have? So, now about cell. So, what cell has? What content the cell has? In general, cell mainly has 3 parts. The outermost covering, cell membrane. The outermost covering, cell membrane, and the inner cytoplasmic matrix. As like a floor in a room, this cell ground matrix will be filled with cytoplasm, and the inner part is nucleus. Inner part is nucleus. A thick chromatin-like structure you can see inside the nucleus. It's nothing but DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA, ribonucleic acid, and proteins. And nucleolus also is seen in inside the nucleus. Okay, so this nucleolus, the role of the nucleolus is to synthesize the protein. It's just producing rRNA subunits to synthesize the proteins. So, mainly this cell has 3 parts: outer cell membrane, which just separate from the environment to the cell. Second one is cytoplasm, the ground matrix. Third one is nucleus, okay, which has DNA, and hope you all know DNA is mainly responsible for genetic transfer from one generation to next generation. Okay. Next thing is about cells. How the cell is organized to an organism. Group of cells is said to be as tissues. Group of cell is said to be as tissues. For example, muscle cells are said to be as muscle tissues. If they are grouped together, it's said to be as muscle tissues. And group of tissues is meant to be as organ. Group of tissues is said to be as organs. Say for an example, lungs, liver, kidney, heart, so many organs, is it not? So, group of tissues is said to be as organs. Group of organs is said to be as organ system. Group of organs is said to be as organ system. Say for an example, nervous system. See, all of a sudden inside your classroom, if you are seeing any snake, what you will do? Once when you are seeing, you will just get shocked and run away from the place, is it not? That is why, because your eyes, your brain, your body is getting reacted according to that, since you are having the nervous system, is it not? All it is connecting. So, organs are connected to the organ system. And next about altogether the organ systems are meant to be as organism. Organ system are meant to be as organism. Organism, for an example, Homo sapiens or mammals or any organisms. So this is how a cell is organized to an organism. Cell to tissues, tissues to organs, and organs, it's composed, organs grouped together as organism. Okay. Yes, now about organism. Organism is mainly divided into two different types, unicellular and multicellular. Unicellular and multicellular. The word uni denotes one or single. Uni denotes one or single. So if an organism is existing or surviving with one cell, it is said to be as single cell organism. If an organism is existing with one cell, it is said to be as single cell organism. And if it is having more than one group of cells, that is said to be as multicellular organism. Okay, so say for an example, for single cellular organism, bacteria, blue-green algae, amoeba, paramecium, so many is there, more than 20,000 species they have determined as unicellular organism. And for multicellular organism, we human beings are example for multicellular organism. Is it not? For doing our brain functions, brain cells are there. Liver functions, liver cells are there. Kidney functions, kidney cells are there. So for each and every organ we are having separate set of cells. We are a combination of cells. We are a combination of trillion cells. You and me are a combination of trillions of cells. Okay, so human beings and then plants, animals, brown algae, red algae, all comes under multicellular organism. So now our lesson about plants is also coming under multicellular organism. It has separate cells for doing all the functions. So we are going to see that in detail. Coming to the next point, plants are basically multicellular organism. We can see different types of plants surrounding us. We can see different types of plants surrounding us, is it not? So now we are going to see about plant reproduction. Plant reproduction. What do you mean by reproduction? Reproduction is a process by which living organism produce more of their kind. Reproduction is a process by which living organism, it might be plant, it produce more of their kind. So when we are making more of their same kind, that is meant to be here as reproduction. So reproduction in plants. Plants are basically divided into two types, flowering plants and non-flowering plants. Flowering which grow flowers, non-flowering which do not grow flowers. So it's divided into two different types, flowering plants and non-flowering plants. So as I said, flowering plants will grow flowers, and use seeds to reproduce or make more plants like them. They use seeds to reproduce. But here in non-flowering plants, they do not grow flowers. Instead, they use spores to reproduce to grow more plants. Here seeds and here spores. Students, here there is a difference in between seeds and spores. Seeds are multicellular, spores are single cellular. Okay, so here in flowering plants they are using seeds to give more amount of plants, and here they are using spores to give more plants. And then they rely on pollination for reproduction. They rely on pollination. Pollination, they are just transferring the pollen from anther to stigma for reproduction to get another copy. They are just using here pollination. But here they are using dispersion. They are using dispersion, that is spreaded in large area. Dispersion, spreaded in large area for reproduction. And here in flowering plants they are using monocot and dicot. What do you mean by monocot? Embryo with one cotyledon. Embryo having single cotyledon is said to be as monocot. And next thing is about dicot. Embryo which is having two cotyledons. Both monocot and dicot is coming under flowering plants. For an example, for monocot, bamboo, rice, wheat, and for dicot, beans, peanut, mangoes. The one with two cotyledons, embryo with two cotyledons is meant to be as dicot. One single cotyledon is meant to be as monocot. Okay, and here about mosses, ferns, liverworts, it does not have true root, true stem and leaves, but it reproduces by means of spores. So here entirely this non-flowering plants depends on spores to reproduce. Flowering plants depends on seeds to reproduce. Is that clear to you all children? Okay. So coming to the next point, reproduction in plants. Reproduction in plants can be done by many ways. Mostly plants reproduce through seeds, some through stems, some through leaves, some through root and some through spores. So mostly plants reproduce through seeds. Plants produce many seeds. There are different shapes, different colors, different types of seeds, is it not? Soya bean look different, corn seeds look different, there are different shapes and size. So they are reproducing through seeds mostly. So plants give out more seeds, only some have the potent or viability to grow into a new plant. Only some seeds are having the potent or viability to grow into a new plant. So as I said, seeds are of different size, different shapes, different color. So let us understand about kidney bean seed and corn seed. Kidney bean seed and corn seed. Okay. So if you are taking the shape of kidney bean, of course it is kidney shape. Is it not? Kidney bean, kidney shape. And then for corn seed shape is shield shape. Corn seed shape is shield shape. It seems to be like this. Now if you are just cut open the seed, if you are cutting open the seed, then it seems to be separated from covering. The seeds will come out from the covering. The seeds will come out loosely from the covering. But here in case of corn, the seeds are said to be fused with the covering. Seeds are fused with the covering. It won't come out. Okay. Next difference is protection. In terms of protection, if you are seeing this kidney bean, you can see this two sides is two cotyledons. Two sides are cotyledon, and here you are having a inner lining meant to be a tegmen. This structure will protect your embryo, protect the embryo and endosperm in kidney bean. Tegmen will protect the embryo and endosperm in kidney bean. And about here in corn, you are having separately one cotyledon, and within that you are having for shoot protection separately coleoptile. You can see one cotyledon. Within that, for shoot protection you are having coleoptile, and for root protection you are having coleorhiza. Okay. So next thing is about in terms of endosperm. Endosperm, what do you mean by endosperm? It's nothing but a part of seed and nourishment for growing embryo. It's a part of seed for nourishment and for growing embryo. This is, in case of kidney bean, it is non-endospermic. Means endosperm is not present in kidney bean, but endosperm is present in corn. Okay. Next thing is about cotyledons. Cotyledons, as I already said, you know, monocot is single cotyledon, dicot is two cotyledons. So here in kidney bean, you are having two cotyledons separately. So it is two cotyledons meant to be as dicot, and it occupies maximum space inside the seed. These two cotyledons occupies maximum space inside the seed. And about corn, here you can see one cotyledon. This part is cotyledon. This part is one cotyledon. Since it is one cotyledon, it is meant to be as monocot. And you can observe two things, coleoptile and coleorhiza here. And it occupies minimum space in the seed. Minimum space in the seed. Okay. Next thing is about, these are the differences in terms of kidney bean and corn. Next thing we are going to look about the similarities in between these two seeds, kidney bean and corn. Similarities, both has embryo. Both seed has embryo. In case if seeds have embryo, of course plantlets can grow from there, is it not? So embryo is present in both the seeds. Next thing, embryo marker. If you are just superimposing the kidney bean one over to the other, the central part, no, here the embryo is located. That region is meant to be as hilum. that region is said to be as hilum. And here also embryo, if you are just by halving, it will be in the center part. It will be in the center part. So embryo marker, wherever the embryo is present is meant to be as embryo marker. It's located central, so it's meant to be as centrally located. Okay, that's all. Now the next topic is about germination of seeds. Germination of seeds. Here we are going to look how a seed is completely grown to a matured plant. How a seed develops into matured plant, stage by stage we are going to see here. That's what germination of seeds. So germination is a process where a seed is grown completely to a matured plantlet with the presence of air, water and sunlight. Okay, so now you can see here the seed, you can see here, observe here the seed. Here second stage it has been grown, third stage you can see the baby root development, it's growing downwards. It will grow downwards and you will be getting a matured root, and next thing shoot development is also seen. Then shoot will grow upward, so that you will be getting a matured shoot stem, and then you can see young leaves. You can see the presence of young leaves here, and then it will turn out into matured leaves. So this is how a seed is grown to a complete plantlet. That's what about the germination of seeds.